I struggle with nihilism sometimes. I go back and forth. Sometimes I'm super at peace with it. Sometimes I'm like sweating bullets and like it makes me spiral. But I'm not a nihilist because it sounds good. I'm a nihilist because I don't think we have proof for anything else. I'm just not going to assume there's anything after this. We don't have proof for anything else. So I'm just going to assume that we cease to exist. But if I'm being honest, living for eternity and not existing anymore, they sound about equally as scary to me. Again, it's just like the one I think is more likely, and I would rather no longer exist than be in the like Christian description of heaven though. Even though again, the thought of existing and not existing scare me about the same.
So, in your video, you say that you find not existing to be scary. Um, so, but I want to explain what it would be like to not exist anymore. Because a lot of people have this fear of eternal oblivion. Kind of, a lot of people assume it would be like a silent black void, just perpetually unending oblivion. A lot of people describe it as peaceful, some find it scary. Uh, but that is an illusion that is created by this idea that we adopt from whenever we things like whenever we close our eyes, we see darkness and we're relaxed and we're laying down. And so a lot of people relate death, they compare death to sleep. But the thing is, if you cease to exist, that's exactly the same as it was before you were born. You didn't exist, but then a life in a general sense, in a generic sense, came to exist. That's all you are, is just a life. So you have to look at yourself in a more generic sense rather than, I came to exist, Ted came to exist. You have to see yourself as a life. I'm a life, you're a life, my cat is a life. Um, so whenever we see ourselves as in this generic way, um, we can see that you didn't exist, but then it was the coming to existence of a life that caused a life to come after your lack of existing. So it was merely the birth of a life that imposed or caused experience to ensue after your lack of existing. So you didn't exist, then a life was born, and so a life came after your non existence. So after you die, if we cease to exist after death, I apologize for the beeping in the background. Something's wrong with the fire alarm system downstairs. The whole building has a system, and the electricity went out last night. And it's been messing up ever since. But so if you cease to exist after death, then again, that's the same as if you never existed. As it, you existed, but it's the same as before birth. But we have to ask ourselves: will there be lives after you die? In a generic sense, there will be lives after we die. There will be all kinds of lives after we die. There will be human lives, animal lives, insect lives, possibly alien lives. There will be maybe out there in the universe somewhere there are sentient machines somewhere. Maybe we'll have them here someday. Um, so there's all this life constantly coming to exist. And so it's the same thing happening again. Uh, After your lack of existing, that non existence will also be followed by one of those lives. It won't be a continuation of you, but there will be life goes on. There will be literally be lives in a materialistic sense after you die. Uh, it's not a continuation of you, but it is the uh, experience continues to come to exist after you die. Let's say that you were the only person in the universe and then somebody else came to exist. So there's only two consciousnesses in the universe. And then say you cease to exist, but the other person's still there. That person that was around while you were around, they were alive while you were alive, that would be the only experience there is in the universe. You wouldn't be experiencing a lack of experience because there is experience in the universe. So there would be experience after you die. Literally, there is experience still after you died. So this is what's called generic subjective continuity. There is no continuation of you. You don't go into that other person that was alive while you were alive, but it's just the fact that there's still experience. Because what you really are right now is a consciousness that a brain is responsible for. And so as long as brains are responsible for consciousness, then there's consciousness. There is no lack of experience. And death, there is no, like, you didn't exist, and your lack of existing wasn't able to stop experience from following your lack of existence, from being imposed. It was just, you know, and the same thing will be true after death. Another life will follow non-existence for the very same reasons that a life followed non-existence before birth. So, and this will just keep on happening. And there's nothing supernatural about this, and there's no continuation of you. It's just that experience continues to be a phenomenon in the universe. So we shouldn't be afraid of not existing. What we might be afraid of is the fact that other lives, horrible lives and good lives, could follow death. You know, there's no guarantees. After I die, maybe the life of a zebra that is currently being torn to shreds in somewhere in Africa or something right now is what will come after I die. It won't be a continuation of me. It's just the fact that that experience is a fact in the universe. And so, and it happens, we all experience life in a one at a time fashion. So right now you're only experiencing one experience right now. You're not experiencing, even though all of this consciousness exists in the universe, you're only experiencing one experience. So the same thing will be true after you die. There will only one life or experience will follow this one, even though there will be billions of other lives going on at the same time. So yeah, and then if the block, another layer to this is if the block universe theory, Albert Einstein's theory, is true, eternalism, then that means that generic subjective continuity can happen in any direction. There's no timeline that is linear. It's just everywhere, you know. So like after death, you know, somebody that's being kept in a dungeon somewhere, or an animal from billions of years ago could be what follows. So the block universe adds a dimension to this that's worse. So this is not a cope. This is not about alleviating fear or anything like that. It's just that that's not, you know, non-existence isn't what you should fear. It's that you cease to exist, and then that other lives will follow this one. And it isn't really something you can fear, though, because it's, if it is true, then it's inevitable, and it's like, well, what am I going to do about it? It's just, you know, it sucks. You can't let it rule your life. You just kind of got to get on with things. That's all I can really suggest. So yeah, I make a lot of these videos about generic subjective continuity, but I do it, I look for people that are expressing this idea of non-existence or nothingness. You didn't say nothingness, but you expressed fear of not existing. And so I will make a video for individuals to hopefully find. So anyways, I'm currently finishing up on a book on this topic, so I hope to have that published within the next few months. So thanks for watching.